He was extra fast, extra flexible, and just, generally a very good athlete. His school chums actually had a nickname for him. They called him the Squirrel because he was just lightning fast at everything he did.
Well, Vijay was probably, and still is, one of the most naturally strong people I've ever met. Pound for pound, he's just incredibly strong. So obviously that's an advantage in weightlifting. But he was also very athletic. I mean, he could play any sport: hockey, baseball, football, soccer, tennis, golf, doesn't matter. He could pick up a racket and he'd be good. So the combination of those two things and just made him a perfect candidate to be a weightlifter.
Vijay, though, he just didn't weightlift. That's, most people remember him as a weightlifter. I remember him as, being a very good soccer player. He played on the school soccer team and track. Vijay was very fast runner, powerful. The legs come from weightlifting. I liken Vijay to, sort of like the Bo Jackson of our era, to me. He could do so many things and so well.
He was an excellent scholar in school, and that same capacity to absorb and accept, he did so in terms of the sport as well. He was just highly coachable and intelligent enough to understand everything that was put to him. So couldn't ask for a better athlete to work with. I knew that he was destined to go to Canadian championships, and beyond that, he lifted in a number of international events as well. So I could tell just that he was quicker, stronger, and sharper than most kids would be.
He went to university, did a degree, went into medical school, breezed through that, and Vijay's now an ophthalmologist, and that's not something that's easy to get into or easy to do. So, I mean, just the history speaks for itself. He's just a smart guy.
This mightn't mean anything to general public, but I had him scheduled to do back squats with 300 pounds, well over his body weight, almost triple his body weight, and I had assigned him to do a double, 2 repetitions with that weight, and he did the 2 repetitions, and he said, I think I could do some more, so he did 5 more repetitions with the same weight. Just looked like a piston in a motor. He just wasn't afraid to work hard, and it paid off.
It would have been the first year I started training with the more advanced guys, like up in the evenings at the high school. I remember he was lifting weights that were, he was one of the smaller guys there, and I saw him one night clean and jerk 100 kilos, and that was just like, he only weighed 52 kilos, and that was just seemed like such an incredible weight to me. And ironically, I was impressed by that at the time, but it turns out I was impressed for good reason. A couple months later, that was the weight he lifted to win the national championship. So it wasn't just a good lift for our club, it was a good lift for anywhere in Canada.
He was the inspiration in his years at the high school club. A sample to follow, and numerous of the other lifters would say, wow, if I could just be like Vijay and lift as well as he does. It was inspirational to a lot of them.
He was really good, so everybody looked up to him just because he was good, but he always had time for the younger lifters. He'd give a bit of advice or encouragement, or show somebody how to do something. I actually found out just recently he was actually the guy I recommended to Ian that I start training with those guys at the club. So he was always thinking about other people, not just himself. And his work ethic was second to none as well, so he set a good example.
Oh, Vijay, I would think is a very good role model. Like I said before, in the hallway or in class or recess, whatever you call them at school, he was just one of the boys. Like you weren't sitting beside the Canadian champ, you're just sitting beside Vijay.
There was the nationals we went to in Edmonton, and back in those days they wore the little tiny sort of singlet suits, and Vijay was the only guy who'd ever been on the national team, so he had this really nice national team suit. And he wore it, and he was in the 56 kilo class, I think. I lifted in the 67 kilo class, so I said, I'm going to wear the same suit. And pretty stretchy fabric, but I squeezed into it. And the third guy was Edwin Cameron, who was in, I think, the 100 kilo class, so he weighed, 100 pounds more than Vijay. He said, well, if you guys are wearing it, I'm going to wear the same suit. So he squeezes into this thing like a sausage. And Vijay said, I don't think I'll ever wear that suit again.
To win a Canadian championship, senior championship, at age 16 in grade 11, I'd say that would be the pinnacle. I had a lot of moments that I would say I was quite proud of his achievements.
We were very proud of Vijay. We used to travel around locally when he was in the meets and stuff, because at the time there was a lot of weightlifting meets at the high school in Milford and around town and stuff, but he used to go off to the States and different places throughout Canada, and we followed it. And I mean, certainly different than nowadays with all the social media and stuff. It was a little tougher to follow. You just basically had to wait till he got home to find out how he did and stuff. But as far as always knowing when he was going for his record or who he was trying to beat.
I know a number of the teachers on my staff used to say, what a good all-round kid this guy is. And I would say that if you had to have an ideal balance of personal qualities, he had them all. Good sense of humor, cooperative, and brilliant, witty. Not much missing there at all.
Vijay did something that, I guess no matter where you're from, not a lot of people get to experience it, but especially in East Hants. And it was certainly a lot smaller than it is now. You basically still knew everybody back then. And to win a Canadian championship was quite an accomplishment, really.
He was one of 4 or 5 athletes ever in Nova Scotia weightlifting to lift double body weight overhead, which he did a number of times in 2 or 3 different body weight categories. And that puts him in an exclusive club in the history of our sport.
I definitely think Vijay deserves to be inducted. His record speaks for itself. He was in a sport that wasn't as well known as some others, but he won a national championship, he won a Canada Games silver medal, he competed internationally for Canada and won medals there. He's a real good athlete. His accomplishments speak for themselves.
2014 East Hants Sport Hall of Fame inductee, Vijay Sharma.